One is illegal on stolen land.
Before, I'll say it again. Either give the land back or shut. If we're going to do acknowledgments, shouldn't we acknowledge that that was kind of up? Did you know that well before 1619, Indians practiced slavery here in America? And the Apache, Iroquois, and Sioux all tried to wipe out their fellow tribes. I know it's comforting to think that there was this ethereal time and place before white guys in suits, when everyone was a gentle, nature-loving child poet who split their time between riding deer and drinking dew. But it's just not.
Billie Eilish lit the match herself, and now the backlash is impossible to ignore. The award-winning pop star took a swipe at IC and Donald Trump, and guess who stepped in to defend them? Bill Maher. The Real Time with Bill Maher host called out what he sees as Billie's double standards with sharp precision, delivering a takedown that was equal parts brutal and hilarious. If you're into bold political commentary, hit subscribe and let's dive in.
Finally, new rule, memo to Democrats. If you ever want to win an election again, the absolute most important first step is stop doing this.
We gather in celebration of the Oscars on the ancestral lands of the Tongva, Tataviam, and Chumash peoples, the traditional caretakers of this water and land.
Yeah, I don't know if we're still saying cringe. But if we are, that's this. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Either give the land back or shut the fuck up. Look, I understand the desire to right the wrongs of the past, especially when you get to take the moral high ground and then build an 8,000 square.
If you've been following for a while, you already know Bill Maher has zero patience for celebrities turning award stages into political pulpits. In his view, fame doesn't equal expertise and applause doesn't equal credibility. That's why he zeroed in on Billie Eilish after she accepted an award and declared, "Nobody is illegal on stolen land." The crowd cheered, but Maher wasn't impressed. On Real Time with Bill Maher, he responded with heavy sarcasm and a pointed challenge. If you truly believe the land is stolen, then the moral response isn't a catchy slogan, it's action. Give the property back. Otherwise, spare everyone the lecture. Notably, Billie Eilish's multi-million-dollar home in Los Angeles sits on land historically tied to the Tongva people. A reporter even attempted to ask whether she would consider giving it back. Let's just say that conversation didn't get far.
Let us in, please, Billie. We are here because this is stolen land, Billie, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely $3 million mansion.
The reporter wasn't allowed inside. Suddenly, the worldview that questions borders had room for gates, walls, and privacy. Billie clearly believes in boundaries when it comes to protecting her comfort. Publicly, though, the rhetoric tells a different story. That contradiction is exactly what Maher keeps highlighting. If the land is truly stolen, he argues, why not give it back or leave? His point is simple. Too many celebrities chase applause instead of consistency, delivering statements that sound morally powerful without backing them up through meaningful personal action.
And I'm sure Julianne Hough is sincere about her love for the Chumash people, but I doubt she drives to work in a canoe, scavenges for acorns, or lives in a dome house made of reeds and dried mud. That's Woody Harrelson.
Maher has also criticized public figures who recite land acknowledgements like ritual scripts, calling the practice deeply hypocritical. Many express solidarity with Native Americans in speeches and ceremonies, yet very few are willing to make sacrifices that align with those words. During the administration of Joe Biden, land acknowledgements became increasingly common at official events. But Maher's central question remains, what concrete action followed? No land transfers. No sweeping structural reforms. Just applause, headlines, and statements that made speakers look virtuous, without demanding real change.
Thank a tribe for Hollywood. Start with the Jews. Now, a few weeks ago in New Zealand, a modern, educated, technologically advanced country, they passed a law making a mountain a person. True, because their indigenous people, the Maori, believe that mountains and rivers are their ancestors. And so the mountain has been legally recognized to have all the rights of a human being, who has all the responsibilities, liabilities, duties, and powers of a human being, which, if you follow that to its logical conclusion, means the mountain can get a driver's license, vote, or adopt a rescue dog. And you should see its dating profile.
Maher pushes the argument further by pointing to New Zealand, where certain natural features have been granted legal personhood. Under Maori tradition, some mountains are viewed as ancestors' living entities deserving protection. Maher says his issue isn't with the culture itself. Instead, he questions the modern political theater around it. If a mountain becomes a legal person, what tangible problem is being solved? Are communities benefiting, or is it another symbolic gesture that sounds profound but changes little in practice?
Get over this idea that ancient people weren't just as full of shit, in fact, more full of shit than humans today. It's so simplistic, this idea of guilt by civilization, that being ancient and indigenous and not us was always better than us. It wasn't. The Maori in pre-colonial times were like most indigenous people, quite warlike, frequently fighting other tribes, with the winners enslaving the losers and even eating them. Yeah, have the mountain tell you that story next time you get it drunk.
Maher also challenges the romanticized view of ancient societies that some celebrities seem to promote. Addressing figures like Billie Eilish, he argues that ancient civilizations weren't morally superior, they were simply operating with the knowledge and systems available at the time. Today, humanity has centuries of scientific, legal, and moral development behind it. Maher's point is blunt. Modern society shouldn't treat regression as virtue. Invoking the past as a moral weapon while enjoying every benefit of contemporary life isn't wisdom, it's selective nostalgia. Real moral seriousness, he says, requires consistency, not emotionally satisfying narratives delivered from a stage.
Hippies love to harp on how the 1950s was backward, and 1950s was backward, as every past era was, but somehow they see indigenous life in the 1550s as the pinnacle of enlightenment. Besides being ignorant, it's hypocritical because, the ancient lifestyle is available to you. You could live outside and forage for food and wash your clothes in a pond. We have that today. It's called being homeless.
Maher keeps circling back to the same uncomfortable challenge. If you truly believe you're living on stolen land, then the response isn't another speech, it's giving it back. He directs that criticism squarely at celebrities like Billie Eilish, who use powerful moral language while continuing to live in luxury on the very land they condemn. In Maher's view, conviction without sacrifice is just performance. If modern civilization is supposedly inferior to ancient ways, he asks, why cling to its comforts? Why keep the mansion, the security, the privilege? According to Maher,
They lived in harmony with nature. Yeah, they had to because no one had invented the toilet yet. The march of civilization has been bloody and painful, but we generally got to a better place, not a worse one, and not just technologically, but how we treat each other. Did you ever see the movie Apocalypto? Where the peaceful, enlightened Mayans built a big ziggurat so they could literally make heads roll in order to appease the gods and make it rain. Yeah, you don't see that on the Land O'Lakes.
Down to one idea. Civilization is a story of movement and change. Humans have migrated, settled, fought, and rebuilt for thousands of years. By that standard, living on land once inhabited by others isn't a uniquely modern, since it's part of human history. He argues that labeling today's individuals as morally illegitimate ignores how history actually unfolded. Borders shifted. Nations rose and fell. Populations moved. His point isn't to dismiss history, but to reject the idea that modern people must carry permanent guilt for events they didn't personally control. Progress, he says, means building something better now, not endlessly condemning the present for the past.
We're going to do acknowledgments. Shouldn't we acknowledge that that was kind of fucked up? Did you know that well before 1619, Indians practiced slavery here in America? And the Apache, Iroquois, and Sioux all tried to wipe out their fellow tribes. I know it's comforting to think that there was this ethereal time and place before white guys in suits, when everyone was a gentle, nature-loving child poet who split their time between riding deer and drinking dew.
Maher also emphasizes that history is far more complicated than today's simplified narrative suggests. Long before modern states existed, indigenous tribes fought over land, resources, and survival. Territory was contested across every continent. His point isn't to deny injustice, but to acknowledge complexity. Power shifted constantly. No group held land forever, without challenge. Reducing history to clear-cut villains and victims may sound compelling.
What the European invaders did to the Indians? Not good, but also not unusual. American Indians waged wars constantly, like Blake Lively. And the Comanche were polygamists whose leaders could bear children with a dozen women, like Elon Musk.
In the end, Maher frames the issue as one of consistency and perspective. Celebrities like Billie Eilish may believe they're advancing justice by invoking stolen land rhetoric. But Maher argues that if the belief is genuine, it demands sacrifice, not just speeches. Ancient societies weren't perfect paragons. They were human, flawed, conflicted, evolving. Modern civilization, for all its imperfections, represents progress. Maher's final takeaway is clear. Symbolic gestures alone don't solve complex problems. Real moral responsibility requires action informed by context, not just words that sound powerful. Until those words are matched with deeds, he says, it's performance. And Maher isn't shy about calling that out. And with that, we wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.